Welcome to Paw Print Academy, your blueprint to raising better dogs. My name is Ryan, and I'll be your host for this journey. I've got my trusty co-host here, Brianna.
Hello.
And together we're bringing you real-world training insights built on leadership, structure, and proven methods. We record this podcast with live clients on the line in one take with live, unscripted questions and answers. At the end of the day, this podcast is a lot more than just teaching your dog to sit or stay. It's about building trust, creating calmness, and becoming the kind of leader your dog truly needs. We do that with our 3-pillar method of trust, obey, and perform. Together, we'll show you how these 3 pillars shape every step of training. Thanks for being here. Let's get started. All right, good evening. Episode 14, the recall, why it fails and how to fix it. So today, we have a special guest joining us. Her name is Sierra, and she's the owner of Summit Kennels. She's a military veteran, a leader in the local dog training community, and someone whose experience really spans from both the tactical canine world to helping everyday families build better dogs. And building better dogs has always been our mission as well. So it seems only natural to invite her to be part of the podcast. And her dedication to the craft of dog training and the impact she continues to make in our local region makes her an obvious leader in the dog training space and in the local area. So, Sierra, thank you for being here tonight.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
So tonight we are talking about the recall. And this is our second series on different dog training subjects. The first series obviously was the puppy foundations of raising puppies. And now we are moving into the realm of basic obedience. Basic is kind of a loose term, but right. Obedience.
Yeah.
Because basic is basic right up until it's not basic anymore. And so tonight, the core idea that we're talking about is that recall is absolutely the most important safety command a dog will ever learn, right? And it fails when the dog does not understand the cue, doesn't value coming back, or it's been unintentionally poisoned. Like the cue has been unintentionally poisoned by the owner.
Yep.
And a reliable recall is built through clarity, structure, and also the rewarding speed.
Yeah.
And that is the tricky part.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
Right. Timing is always the most important.
Absolutely. So major point number 1 in our outline is why the recall fails. Before we even talk about exactly what to do here, let's talk about why it fails.
Yep.
So owners often think that a dog is just being stubborn, right? And most recall problems come from just kind of unclear training patterns, right? And Sierra, I know you in our previous kind of interview here, we were talking about clarity and our communication. And certainly I would love for you to weigh in at some point here on with your background in the tactical side, right? I'm sure that recall is like kind of a matter of life and death on the tactical canine side. And so I'd love for you to weigh in on that as we go through here. But let's talk about why recall fails. All right. So many owners unintentionally poison the cue by and devalue the cue by repeating whatever the command is while the dog ignores it.
Yep. And that's with any command that we give, kind of, right? It's like we always will tell you, like, don't just sit there and repeat the command.
Yeah.
If they're not doing it and you're just sitting there saying, come, 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 the dog's not listening to you.
Yep.
And the 12th time you say it, they're still not listening to you.
Yeah. So when a dog ignores it, right, we've got to do something different.
Yep.
And there's several different things to do. But initially, the first thing that we teach owners is that you've got to maintain accountability.
Yep.
Because if you don't have accountability of your dog, then they are allowed, or they get inadvertently allowed, to weigh in on whether they want to do it or not.
Right.
And at that point, we've lost control.
Yep.
And then what we start to do is we reinforce these bad repetitions or these bad reps. So we say come and the dog doesn't come. And then we're like, well, dang it. I'll say it again. And then it just makes the process worse.
Right.
And we continue down that.
Yep. Because
that
if they can
circle.
ignore you and still keep doing what they're doing, they're going to if you can't hold them accountable for what you've asked them to do.
Yeah, absolutely. Do you, so dogs learn that ignoring the recall still eventually results in freedom or play
Yeah.
or something that is positive.
Yep.
And at that point, that becomes a self-reward.
Yeah.
So, what I'm trying to kind of highlight here is that anything that we teach the dog with consistency and anything that we teach the dog that eventually rewards it makes it advantageous for the dog to repeat.
Yep.
And so, this is where that concept, when we first work with e-collars or we first work with a long line or whatever, we talk about how the more that you use it at the beginning, the less you'll have to use it later.
Mm-hmm.
And I often say something that seems very confusing is because I'll leave out that last part and be like, the more you use it, the more you don't have to use it. And it's like, well, that doesn't really make sense. But it does if you're talking about patterning, right? And the more that you hold that dog accountable, the less your dog will test the boundaries in requiring you to hold the dog accountable.
Right. And I think inevitably, like, people a lot of the time will give their dog more freedom, like, too soon. They'll be like, oh no, they've got it. And then they unclip the leash and then they do it off of something that they haven't even practiced with before. And then they're like, well, I lost it. They don't have it.
I think a lot of people don't realize too how much, like you said, you have to be consistent. Like the more you use it, the less you'll have to use it in the future.
Yeah.
I think a lot of people don't realize how long that actually is. Like
Right.
it's not just a week.
Yeah.
You can't say I've been using the e-collar for a week and I'm good to go. It's a much longer process and it's different for every dog. A lot of dogs have that criminal mindset where it doesn't matter how much or how consistent and inconsistent you use it. It's got to happen. Like you've got to use it. But yeah, a lot of people don't realize how long.
Right. And the way that we teach e-collar work, since we're on the subject, right? The way that we teach e-collar work is layering in the e-collar to the foundational communication of the dog. So instead of using the e-collar as a negative, only as corrections, the science that I'm aware of that I've seen is we see a much lower efficacy across the board in e-collar work when it's only used for corrections versus when it's used proactively, just like leash pressure.
Yeah.
Right. E-collar on, command, e-collar on, dog obeys or does
just as a
something, and then
reinforcement.
and then
A
e-collar
lot of
off.
people, and I teach it the same way. Like when I first start teaching it, it's just a reinforcement tool. That's all it is. It's just helping teach that command. But like turnovers and things, people start to only use it as a correction, and you actually start to see behaviors get worse or a lot of friction between both of them. So it's mainly a reinforcement tool, not even a correction. You definitely can use it as that correction, but.
So, and here's the next point that I wrote down, which I would love for you to weigh in on the tactical side, tactical canine side too. Cause I think owners can learn a lot from both sides. But recalls often fail because owners try them off leash too early or in the middle of a relationship crisis with the dog. Mm-hmm. And, before we build a foundation or the proofing of the dog on a long line. So the long line is no one's, so it's a dog trainer's best friend, but it's no owner's best friend. Almost every owner that I have ever talked to has no desire to put their dog on a long line. At that point, they're like, why isn't he just off leash? And I understand that. I understand it because it's an inconvenience, and you gotta police this up. You gotta pull it up. It gets tangled. You gotta run all of these things. But the amount of education that the dog learns from following that e-collar pressure and never getting to mess up. Right. Because at the point where the dog's like, actually, I'm going to blow this off. You have accountability in the most strong capacity. You're like, no, you're not. Come back here. Yep. And you can literally reel them in hand over hand if need be. So those repetitions are so important. And sometimes we talk to owners about that concept, and we talk about it, but I don't know that it always comes through that's so valuable. What is something that you've run into from Summit Kennels that, I mean, do you run into the same issue? Do you have what's like, obviously the people that are tuned in tonight are from our side of the business. What is give some clarity from your perspective on some of those things.
So I think a big thing, which I see a lot with my clients that I work with when they are struggling with recall, a big one is timing. Whether they're on the long line, whether they're off leash, marking them turning around and starting to come towards you. You have to mark that. Where a lot of people wait until that dog gets all the way to you, or dogs get bored depending on 30 feet. Like a dog can get bored on that way over if they haven't been like, hey, like, yep. Like if you didn't mark that behavior, they start to like, oh, am I doing it? You can see them. You can see the dog start to think. So marking that turnaround and them coming towards you is so important, and it's just reinforcing like, hey, yep, that's what I want. And then you can pay them when you get to you. When you mark, you don't have to pay right away. When you've taught a dog what a marker is, they've already been rewarded. That is the reward, but they just know what follows.
Yep.
That's a really good point.
Yeah.
And so just as a reminder, right, when we're talking about the markers, we're talking about that reward marker that says, good job, you did the right thing. And there's two markers that we build into all of our training. We use a continuation marker or a terminal marker. And so we would encourage the continuation marker if we're marking that behavior of them turning around, right? Because we want, good job, you're doing it right. Keep on going. We want to continue that, right? And so that marker for us, for any of our clients that are listening, is yes. We use yes as a continuation marker and free as a terminal marker. Yeah. And many dog trainers do it differently. A lot of dog trainers will do good as a continuation and yes as a terminal. That's how I do it. Yep. Yeah. No issue. So the marking though is really, really good. Why? Just lay it out, right? Why is marking at the moment that they turn around so important versus, I know you alluded to it with the timing of the dog getting bored, but why is that kind of like the whole picture right there? Why is that so important to the dog?
I think it's especially in the beginning phases, you are struggling with recall. When I'm first teaching it, like if I'm already struggling with a recall and say whether they're getting bored halfway or they're kind of unsure, or I teach all of my dogs a tone recall. So when I'm pairing, it can be a little bit different, or their first time on a long line, it's going to be new to them. So it's not going to be as efficient as it was on the 6 foot I just had them on. So I think taking it back to the basics a little bit and acting like they don't know recall at all, marking it immediately. And over time, we can kind of take that marker away from the immediate, and once they get to us or halfway, then mark it. And from there, but especially in the beginning phases, like I'm marking anything as soon as it happens.
Got it. All right. The next thing, so owners sometimes call the dog for unpleasant things. And this damages the cue history.
Yep.
Right. So when we talk about that, there's a lot of owners that we see that only call their dog when they want the fun to end. Right. Dogs are having a great time. They're partying. They're chasing stuff. They're enjoying life. And then our mean mom and dad come out and get involved, and they're like, get back here, come.
Right.
And at that point, now that recall is associated to something negative.
Yep.
Why, when you're talking about an impulsive creature, which all dogs are, why would that creature want to come back to you if they're already present for the party?
Right. You see it
You're not invited to the party. They're at the party.
Yeah,
they're having the party.
They're not leaving.
They're
the
not.
party.
Yeah, they're like,
nobody's
what do you
leaving
mean?
the party before it's over.
Right. Everyone can remember back to when they were like a teenager and they were at a party and their parents showed up and they were like, oh, crap. And that wasn't a fun feeling.
Right. 5 more minutes.
5 more minutes. Just 2 more minutes.
Right. Just 2 more.
Right.
I'll be right there.
It's the same concept though.
Right.
So if we don't ever throw the party or create the party for the dog to come and be part of, the dog's like, nah, you're boring.
Even if you're not going to be the party, though, it's like, let them go back to the party. It's
Right.
like, call them back and then be like, just kidding. Go on back. Go back to the party. I just want to make sure you were still like paying attention here.
And that's how we play tug, right? And I try to teach that same concept with tug, where people are like, oh, well, my dog doesn't drop it, right?
Yeah.
Or once they get a ball, once they get a tug, once they get whatever, they will not drop it. I'm like, right, because when you taught them to drop or you told them to drop, then you ripped it away and then you were like, yeah, haha.
Right.
And it's like, no, well, that wasn't, I wouldn't want to let go either.
Yeah.
Right. Or you like took it away and then you're like, yeah, we're done.
Yep.
Well, what did we teach the dog just now?
Right.
We showed them that when you let go, then the fun ends.
Yeah.
Well, that's not going to be very useful. So, or at least in the dog's mind, it's not going to be very useful. For us, it's like, yeah, thank goodness I finally got it. Right? You're like, just leave it alone.
Right.
I've got whatever it was. But for the dog, it's like, oh, well, now it's no fun.
Right.
And it only takes once or twice for the dog to figure that out and be like, nah, I'm not done playing.
Right. And if you're not the party, that's fine. But then your alternative is to their release is to go back to the party. It's like, cool, you're not the funnest thing. You don't have anything fun for them to do. You're not going to reward them real big. Cool. They come back, right back out.
Right.
Because sometimes what's out there is more exciting than what you are. So if you're not more exciting, then that's their reward.
Yep, you've got to be. Another big one I see it too is people recalling their dog because the dog is out doing something bad. So your dog is digging or getting into something. And I've even done this with my own personal dog. But you recall them over because they're being naughty, and there's no incentive for them to come because they get to you and now they're just getting corrected.
Exactly. Yeah, that's definitely a big issue for sure, is like nobody I think really thinks or acknowledges like practicing recall as an exercise. Just do it. Just call them in, let them back out.
Yep.
Call them in, let them back out. There doesn't have to be a purpose or a next step to your recall.
Long before you need them to come
Right.
back.
Yeah. Just do it for fun. It should be the same thing as when we are really big on like, cool, have your dog go to place and relax on your place. If you're going to do that every day, why don't you do recall every day?
Yeah.
You know?
It is, because
I think it's
if you
super
think about
important.
it, really, if you weren't ever just doing training drills, the only time you would recall your dog is if they were doing something naughty or they're finished playing, things like that. So, yeah, no, very important.
One of the things I do while I walk around and scoop the yard or walk around and do yard work is I have the dogs out and I'll call them one by one.
Yep.
Call them over, throw a big party, give them lots of pets, and then be like, break, and send them away.
Yeah.
Just constant, because that's shaping, right?
Yep.
I'm just shaping a command,
Yep.
right? And it's like, oh, I'm so proud of you. You came over here. Let me give you some love and some attention. And okay, now I'm going to go back to being boring over here.
Right. And I think it's
And
just
it's like,
something
cool.
people don't naturally think of, right? It's like if you want to recall your dog, there should probably be a reason, or else you're just going to let them have fun. But there's nothing saying you can't practice that randomly with your dog. Just call them back and then let them go back out. There doesn't have to be this huge like process. It's just practice. The same thing as if you wanted your dog to learn how to like high five, right? If you wanted your dog to learn how to high five, you'd be working with them multiple times a day to teach your dog to learn how to high five. Just build the recall and just keep doing it with your dog.
Yeah, absolutely. So then the next thing, owners sometimes call, so we talked, no, I'm sorry. I was off on my cursor moved here. Distracting environments. Okay. So distracting environments can overwhelm dogs that typically only work indoors.
Yeah.
So sometimes we have plenty of people that just don't have a lot of land.
Yep.
They don't have a big yard, or they don't even have a fenced in yard.
Right.
And
live in
so,
apartments, things like that.
yeah, they're in an apartment. They go outside and they just have the dog park.
Yeah.
Right. And inevitably those are the owners that they have worked with the recall only indoors.
Yep.
And when we only train indoors, then we go outside and suddenly we're in the most distracting environment that the dog has ever been. Dogs who are super smell oriented, or they were bred in their genetics for hunting or tracking or trailing. Those dogs, they're just the type of dog that they are is when they're around wildlife or they've got smells. They've got, we have like little ponds and things around where we live where we have a lot of geese, right? And
also, like, you
the
have to
goose
go into
poop.
like dog sense when you're dealing with like dogs that are unaltered and dogs that are altered. There's a difference there in like the sense that they pick up and the sense that they will like follow.
yeah, for sure. But goose poop is
that's a huge
is a
one here.
huge one around here
Yeah,
where
have
we do
geese in our ponds.
our like group classes and stuff over at this playground near our neighborhood. And
Yep.
I tell you what, the dogs, when the flock of geese have been through,
Yeah.
it's like the most distracting environment
Yeah.
for dogs just across the board. I don't know what it is, but they're like, oh my gosh, I never smelled so much stuff. Super crazy. All right. So what would you say, Sierra, I'll put you on the spot a little bit, with the most common mistakes that you see owners make that like poison or weaken the recall cues?
Definitely. Well, calling when they're in trouble. That's
Yep.
a big one. But just the way the amount of recall that they do, like they don't do it enough. They go out and about, or like you said, like training in the backyard, training in the house. Like my dog recalls great in the house, or vice versa. I've had clients where they do all their training out in new environments,
Oh,
and then
right, reverse.
they will not recall in the house. Like the dog will be
Oh,
sitting on the
yeah.
couch, and they're like, "Maxie, come here," and the dog just looks at him. So same thing. Like you can have complete opposite It's really just
That's a good
like
point.
lifestyle.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
that's a concept I try to explain on the science side. That is called there's a word for that. It's called generalization. And so in dog training, the concept of generalization is teaching a dog that the recall is the same process inside as outside, as at the park, as out back, as wherever. Sit or down is the same thing. We see this a lot with place.
Yeah.
And with what would you say? It's place and down.
Yeah,
I
down,
think
for
down
sure,
is probably
yeah.
the other one, where a dog could be like you could train down 10,000 times when you're on the carpet, and then all of the sudden you're on a hardwood floor and you're like down, and the dog's like, I don't even know what you're talking about.
Yeah. Huh?
And you're like, what? What? You know how to down. And this is what makes people frustrated is that because they go out to a brewery or they go out in public and now they're on a linoleum floor or they're on a tile floor or something and they're like down, and then their dog's like being stubborn. I'm using air quotes, right? It's like they're being stubborn, and it's like, well, but you've never had them down on a tile floor before.
Right. It's just a little weird.
And the
Work 'em
dog's
through it.
right. The dog's like, I never heard that word before. I don't know what you're talking about. But that's just that is the dog compartmentalizing away from that general concept, which is down is the same here as down is there, as down is there. And I just explain it as it's just a different picture. You can look at a picture, a black and white photo or a color photo. They look very different, but still the same, right? And it's if you're not filtering that, and it was the first time and you didn't understand the difference between color and black and white, you'd be like, no, those are different photos. But if you look at the details and the shapes and you kind of like put it spatially together, you're like, oh, it's the same photo, just no color. Same thing for the dog.
Yeah. But I think a lot of owners are just reluctant to work their dogs through that, right? It's like they just like they see their dog not do it, or they're just mildly like anxious or uncomfortable, and the owners are like, oh, they don't know how to lay down anymore.
Yeah.
And it's like, no, just slow down and work them through it. Just like tell them down, give them leash pressure, work them through it. They're gonna lay down as long as you understand that there's nothing that's going to like kill them, right? Because I work with a lot of nervous dogs. So most of the time they're like, no, I'm not laying down out here.
Yes, but yeah, reactive dogs,
Yeah.
dogs with anxiety, like they're already going to struggle in new environments. And then you start throwing all of these tasks at them and it's just not going to happen.
Right. We had a lesson just the other night where the dog went down 10 feet away from the owner in the same room in their home, but they were just so like kind of anxious that they were like, no, I'm not going to lay down over here. And it's like, no, we're going to work through it. We're going to lay down over here. It's fine.
All right. Next question. How do you explain self-rewarding behaviors so that owners understand why their dog keeps running instead of coming, so to speak?
So if I'm recalling a dog and self-rewarding is recall, they don't, and they continue to do whatever they're doing. They're just self-rewarded. So,
right, because they don't have to.
At any point, if you have a dog, you're a trainer. Whether you don't know how that dog either does or doesn't view you as that trainer leader, but as a trainer, you always need to be in that position to be able to reward, reinforce, and correct. So when you can't control an outcome, whether you have a leash on or you have that e-collar on, your dog's going to test you eventually at some point.
Yeah, always, right? They're always just like, maybe today's the day. You know, maybe now. Maybe I can do it now.
And you never get a day off.
And you
right?
You never do.
You really just don't, because it only takes one time to turn into two, and two times to turn into three.
Yep.
Right.
And by about 3 or 4, that habit has been like, actually, then you get into this this selective reward concept with dogs, where it's incredibly, it builds a dog's drive if you reward them intermittently, right? Like it makes them want it even more. If you're like every 4 times you don't reward your dog, it drives it just in mammals in general, right? That like 75 to 85% rule, where if you succeed, if I flip this, if a mammal fails 15% of the time, it drives them even harder to succeed, just in general. And that comes from the fact that if in mammalian, in the brain, if you succeed every single time and you're rewarded every single time, the value of that reward starts to drop over time. Mm-hmm. And so the concept that they have done it, they're like, I hear it all the time. Yeah, my dog's about 80%.
Yeah. That's
a real dangerous ratio for the dog to fail at, because it's right exactly where the science says that it builds the most drive for the dog to do what they want. Mm-hmm. Where they're like, well, if I ignore you 15% of the time and I get away with it, it makes them want to ignore you more.
Yep.
And that's why it's so important that we nail recall every time. Because it doesn't take very many times for the dog to be like, actually, I really was having a great time by myself.
It's like teenagers sneaking out at nighttime, right? It's like if you don't catch them the
first
time.
If you get away with it once or twice, you're going to do it again for sure.
And then if it's like you get caught the first time you sneak out, you're like, dang, I didn't get away with that. I'm never going to get away with it.
Right?
Yep.
100%. Okay, so the next point, building a strong foundation. A reliable recall is earned through gradual progression, consistent patterns, and high value reinforcement. Mm-hmm. So where do we go with this? 1, start with a long line to prevent the rehearsal of the bad stuff.
Right, because if they've done it once, they're going to do it again. And you have to be able to stop the bleeding, right, in order to fix it. That's why we tell people who have reactive dogs and they're like, my dog barks at every dog that they walk by. And we're like, cool. Step 1, stop walking your dog. Right? Because
it's like why are you walking them? Why are you walking them if every time you go out there, I was like, have you had a good walk in the last month? And you're like, no.
Then don't do it again.
Stop it.
Right. Don't do it again.
Because you're adding to the hemorrhage, right? You're just bleeding out over there and no one's doing anything about it.
Nobody.
But it's easy to sit here with a microphone in front of my face and be like, well, just don't walk your dog. But then people are like, well, but what do I do?
Right. It's emotionally charged.
Right. And so there's no part of that that's lost on us, right? There's so many other things you can do. Because let's just call it what it is. Walking your dog, and I'm going to shut this rabbit hole down before we go all the way down here, because we talked about walking last week. But walking your dog is not an effective means of exercising them.
Yeah.
It is the most convenient. For sure.
Yeah.
I got
and
it.
The most widely known.
And the most widely known
Everybody's
and the most adopted.
Just taking my dog for a walk.
But dogs, even fat dogs, are significantly more efficient at walking than we are. Mm-hmm. And so it's worth having the conversation. Why are you walking them? What are you accomplishing? Because if it's truly just for their exercise, we can do other things. If it's truly just for them to get outside, we can do other things. And if the big 3, exercise, for them to get outside and see things. And then the third one is because I like walking.
I like walking.
Right.
Yeah.
But that's okay. You can walk. But you don't have to take your dog.
Yeah.
Because your dog's not good at it, right? And you're reinforcing over and over these behaviors that are driving you crazy.
Yep.
But you're telling me, right? You're saying that this isn't working, but you feel trapped, like you have to do it. Mm-hmm. And that's where we come in with like, cool,
right.
let's talk about some other options. You don't have to do it.
Yeah.
You don't have to do it. And I'm not saying that. I'm not standing here or sitting here saying that in a way that's like, I can't believe you didn't think of this. I want to set you free and be like, no, you don't have to. You don't have to. There's so many other things we can do. Let me teach you how to play with your dog. Let me teach you how to engage with your dog. Let me teach you how to play, go on snifaris. Let me teach you how to, work through some hide and go seek.
Yeah.
Right? There's so many other things that we can do with our dogs. We don't have to walk them if you got a crazy reactive dog on walks.
Right. I know. I'm on the full belief that like people should go through a 2-hour like orientation in order to adopt a dog or like get a dog. Cause it's like we take classes for so many other things. It's like, why don't we take classes
so
on how to like
unfortunate
have
that
your
you-
dog? Like some people have never had a dog, right? They adopt a dog and then it's like, well, what do I do with this thing?
Right. And how legitimately are they supposed to know?
Right. We have books and books and books and books and like classes and classes and classes and whole like entire things on like when you have a kid, this is what you do with it.
Yeah.
But nobody is out here screaming to the world what you do with your dog when you get it. And you're like, I've never had a dog. What do I do with this thing?
Right. And what's worse is they don't even end up speaking English. So with the kids, at least they grow up and they can like talk to you.
Right, they can tell you what they need.
But the dogs never do.
The dog is still just like, I'm just looking at you.
Right.
I don't know. I'm just
He'll
trying
look
to
at
tell
you for 10 years and he'll just keep looking at you.
Right. I'm just
Never
gonna keep
gonna
looking
learn.
at you.
So I understand. I really understand the issue here, right?
Yeah.
There's no part of this that I'm
Right. And so only saying come one time and then guiding in with the long line. That's one huge one for me, right? We can say it until we're blue in the face, but if you just say come, no, come, the dog didn't hear you on the first one, second one, third one, you could say it 17 times. The dog didn't hear you a single time.
Yeah.
If you are not using your leash to hold your dog accountable and show them, it's like you're working with your dog, right? You're not working against your dog. You're working with your dog, and that's what the leash is for, to show them what you are asking. And if they're going to blow you off, then you still have the leash, e-collar, whatever you're using. But if you don't have any tool, then of course your dog's going to, do whatever it wants to do in that moment. And to be fair, like it is what it is. Like a child is going to do the same thing. And I think we graduate dogs to adulthood far too soon when we're like, nope, they got it. But, they're ready to leave the nest. No, they're not. They need guidance for 2, 3, 4 years, depending on what breed you have. If you have a lab, you're like 6 years in and they're still like 18 months old.
Yeah.
But hate that for you. But depending on the breed of dog, like some dogs need more than others. And I think that's where breed research and things like that come into play, where you have to know what kind of dog that you have.
Right. And the concept of some dogs need more than others, there's just no way around it, right?
Yeah.
And
Some
I'm sure that
kids need
you
more than others.
I'm sure that you've seen it, and I would love for you to weigh in on it on the tactical canine side, right? Because some dogs need more than others, right? And I'm sure you probably saw it in even more pronounced than some pet dog owners are like, yeah, my dog won't sit. And it's like, and you're at a whole nother level.
Right.
And it's not even just like the breed too. A lot of it is like the genetics of that breed. Because I've worked with a lot of different breeds, and for instance, like my border collies growing up, they all come from like working lines or constantly go, go, go. And I've seen border collies who are perfectly fine with sleeping all day, every day on the couch. Like, it's very important to, obviously, you can't get it with every dog, but when you are kind of seeking out like the breeds and where you're getting them from, you need to pay attention to those lines and like what they've done, because that is a huge part of who that dog is going to be.
Right. And I think the whole like adopt, don't shop thing became a huge like trend too, right? So now we have all these like mixed breeds going on that people weren't familiar with, even like one breed, and now there's like 12.
Yep.
And then there's no way that you mix 3, 4 different breeds and have a genetically stable dog in any way, shape, or form. No matter what. So automatically off the bat, if you have more than 2 breeds in the dog, like you're going to have to work that dog through things.
Like, I don't know if you guys have seen, this might just be something I've experienced, but with like the golden doodles.
Oh my gosh, doodles are wild.
That's just a prime example. I swear every doodle I have worked with has had some major anxiety issues.
I have told him that I want a shirt that says like doodles keep us in business, because those doodles are running rampant around here.
But that's just a perfect example of like the breeding and like it should just like that shouldn't.
Yeah, it should not be a thing.
Should not be a thing.
It shouldn't. I know.
Not a fan.
I'm dying over here. The doodles do keep us in business, though.
I'm telling you.
That's so cute, though. When
the other half of the business is like the golden retriever, which is half of the golden doodle. So it's like, man,
right?
Those goldens will get you. It's because they're so pretty.
But they're so pretty. The show line golden retrievers are so pretty. All right. So top tip here: reward at the handler, never midway. Right, and so we can reward the dog with our praise during
marking,
and we can mark at the very beginning when they turn to us, but let them come all the way to you exactly the same way every time, then reward.
Right, because how are you even going to reward halfway?
Well,
right?
so I guess what I'm looking at with that would be like giving them a terminal marker halfway.
Ah, gotcha. Okay.
Right. So at the point where like they're on the way and then you're like break, or on the way and you're like free, or whatever it is, right? We don't really want to encourage that. We want the dog to come all the way back to us so that we maintain the same pattern.
Right, and I will say it over and over and over again, but if you're recalling your dog off of something that's fun and you are like, Max, come, that dog's going to blow you off. Because one, you don't sound fun. It doesn't sound like he's going to have a party when he gets to you.
Yeah.
And you have to pay attention to the situation and the tone, right? If you're going to say come and you're not like, Max, come, right? The difference in that tone right there is super important to a dog.
Yeah.
Because if you're saying it in a fun way, then they're expecting something fun.
Yeah.
So always paying attention to that.
All right. So we talked about what we teach owners about saying come only once. I'm going to throw out a caveat to that, right? So we talk about we only want to say the cues once. Yep. However, just like we can say sit and then the dog sits and we can say good sit, good sit. The reason why we can say sit while they're sitting is because they're literally sitting. Mm-hmm. And we can always pattern a movement or a command that the dog is in the process of doing. Mm-hmm. And so what that means is that we can also pattern come while the dog is actively in the process of the come.
Yep.
So that means we can say, Dexter, come. And as he's making movement, as he's running towards me, I can be like, yeah, come, great job. I can encourage him and get real excited, right?
Yep.
That's always allowed.
Yeah.
All right. How do we explain how? So we've explained the importance of long lines, but why are long lines so important to just like cap failure?
One, because it gives you the length to let the dog feel the sense of freedom, right? I think that's one thing that people also don't get in the habit of is if you're gonna recall your dog from 4 or 6 feet inside, things like that, the dog's not going to recall from 50 feet because you jump from 6 feet to 50 and you move outside. The long line gives them those invisible lines of freedom, right? It's like we move from 6 feet to 10 to 15 to 30 to 40 to 50.
In those gradual
in increments so that the dog learns, oh, at 30 feet, I was successful. Cool. Give them some more rein.
Yeah.
At 40 feet, I was successful. So those are the things that the long lines are going to come in handy for where people don't get a sense of.
All right. And for Sierra, I do have a question for you, because I was going to talk about our methods for making the recall exciting and rewarding, but I talk about those all the time. Hello. What are your methods for making a recall exciting and rewarding?
I love, especially the toy.
What's your go-to?
I use like with the ball on the rope, whatever you specifically call it. Dogs who love engaging like that. I do a lot of like play drills with that beforehand, but it's a great way to start teaching fetch too, because a lot of dogs don't even know how to bring like a toy back. So that's a great way too. Like I'll give them the recall command here, whatever. As soon as they come, I'm marking it and then chucking a toy.
Yeah.
All right. Major point number 3, proofing the recall for the real world. So when we are training for a specific command, we have to proof that command. And so a dog's recall is not really complete until it works with distractions and distance and real life conditions. Now, it is impossible to train for every single real life condition, for sure.
Right.
However, we can do the best that we can by doing increasing distractions, distance, and duration. We call that the 3 Ds of dog training, right? So distractions, distance, and duration. Those are the things that we always try to build into every dog's recall, their sit, their down, their all of their commands. Yeah. Right? And there is for sure a process for this, but at the same time, there will always be specific situations that you just can't plan for. One of the things I've ran into recently is horses.
Yeah.
Right? I have no horses here. And so I have not trained any dogs with horses, but one of my clients has horses near them. And that has recently become an issue. Yep. And it's like, cool. Well, then I'm going to come out and I'm going to help with that. But we're going to use all of these same things to work through that, right?
Right, because we can't prove for every single instance. Everybody's living situation is different. We always, we work through things like place and things like that at, dogs' graduations, and so those are the things we can kind of work through with people in their own home, but everybody's setup is different. Everybody's outside yard looks different. Everybody's inside of their house looks different. Some people can't fit crates where, they need to or anything like that. But it doesn't mean that the same things don't apply to that dog. And it doesn't mean that we have to teach something like 100% new to the dog just because it seems like it's a new instance.
Yeah, absolutely. So once the foundation's strong, we want to gradually add all of those different things, right? Add our distance, add our distractions, and slowly increase the environmental complexity. When we do our board and train programs and we do other types of programs, we want to slowly allow the dogs or allow the humans to, I guess the best way to say it is to kind of very slowly on-ramp the dogs into and move them into these harsher environments. And what that looks like when we talk about that generalization concept, we have to show the dog that the same rules apply here as they did where they were when they were with us. And that can be a process, right? And it's different for every dog, but that's why there's no perfect way to do that because every dog is going to be different.
Right.
That aside, we're talking through the best practices. There are for sure these one-off situations where, look, we're just gonna have to work through it. Mm-hmm. I don't have a perfect solution for everything. Yeah. And I don't want to sit behind this microphone and make it sound like I can solve every issue or proactively solve every single issue. But we can apply all of these basics. We can be brilliant in the basics, and we can overcome all of those obstacles one at a time. So using structured games, and that's what Sierra was talking about. So using structured games to build speed, and then in using that speed as a reward itself. Dogs, every dog has ADD. Just imagine that every dog has ADD. I know it's not exact, right? But imagine that every dog does, because when they're sitting there or standing there or laying there, their brain is going. They are looking at everything. They are taking everything in all the time. So the concept that I'm going to just say, good job, you're doing good. All right, already that dog had like 6 different thoughts about what they wanted to do with their day. So we have to be more exciting than that. A couple of tips that we can do. These are specific drills that we can use down the speed roll. Okay. So restrained recall. All right. What that looks like is where one person takes the dog and kind of holds it lightly, right? Not by the leash, but literally holds the dog. And someone else calls the dog, gets really excited, throwing a party, having a great time. They want the dog to come over to them and have a party with them. And you're holding the dog back. And the dog's like, let go of me. Come on, I got to get over there. And then as the excitement builds and builds and builds, you finally give a definitive come command. And the person that's holding the dog lets go of them. That's called a restrained recall. And the dog inevitably will book it over there. And it builds anticipation in the dog's mind. And it builds drive for the dog to want to run back to you, to the other person. All right. The other one that I've got is ping pong recall. So you can pattern this really, really fast. You get a high value treat or toy or something that the dog really wants, and you get 2 of them. You divide it up between 2 people and you ping pong them back and forth. You go, Dexter, come. And Dexter runs over there. I give him a treat. Brianna's over on the other side and she's like, Dexter, come. And then he runs over there, gets a treat. Dexter, come. And he runs over here and he gets a treat. And he just runs back and forth, back and forth, back and forth as fast as you can do it, getting treats. That's another really great drill to work with a dog. All right. We already talked about never calling the dog for punishment or unpleasant events. We always want to really protect the cue's value. We don't want to devalue the cue.
Right.
Of come or here. All right. What would you say is the best framework for progressing from the backyard to a public space or from inside to outside? What's your process for building into that?
I mean, I really just rep it out multiple times in the situation before moving on to a different one, but it's small steps, right? It's inside, and then it's not necessarily in the backyard, but I typically go to like a concrete area after that. Because
right. Why do you like concrete?
Because there's less smells.
Yeah.
When you get into grass, you got all sorts of stuff going on in there. You got worms underneath there. You have all sorts of stuff. And so it seems like a small step, right? Inside to outside in my own yard, but it's a big step for a dog. And so inside to outside on concrete or some sort of like pavement is my next step. So I'll either use back patio, front driveway, and then I will move into grass. Once I have repped it out and done it so successfully that I feel like I can move 12 inches to the right and be in the grass and still be successful. But if that dog is still like not understanding or not doing it every time that I rep it out, I'm not going to move on past it.
Gotcha. Yeah, I like it. All right. So the next thing I've got here is listener projects. So before I go forward into listener projects, I'm going to open it up here and for listener questions. If you've got a question, now is the time to ask. Throw them out there. Let me know what you got. So far, so good on the Jeopardy music. All right. No questions tonight. No problem. I was fully expecting to get at least one question. That's all right though. So let's go into, all right, let me just double check. I want to make sure that I didn't like somehow mute.
Mm-hmm.
No, I think I got it right. I am not a professional podcaster. I try so hard, but I'm the world's hardest trier, but I'm just not always, I don't always nail it here. All right. If anybody thinks up a question before we are done here, just unmute and go for it. Go for it to ask. I'm going to talk through the listener projects. Project number 1, long line recall circuit. So clip your dog into a 15 to 30 foot long line. Allow the dog to drift away on some slack. Say, come 1 time. Then pause. If the dog hesitates, go ahead and start guiding him lightly with the long line. Reward him at the handler. Get that reward, then free. FREE, do a terminal marker word, whatever that is. If that's yes for you, if it's free for you, if you're using something else, you're using a different language, throw it out there. Complete about 10 reps and keep the energy kind of upbeat, right? We don't want to be boring. And I don't mean that offensively at all. I have been there and done that many times and been boring. And Brianna calls me out all the time. And she's like, I probably wouldn't run over to you either. Right. And it's like, you know what? That's a good point. Yep. You're right. I got to up the intensity. I got to up the energy. I got to make the party exciting.
Yeah.
So keep the energy upbeat. All right. Project number 2, restrained recall game. All right. So have another person hold the dog gently while you run about 5 to 10 steps away. You don't have to get super far, but have somebody hold the dog nicely, not rough, not hard. We're not grabbing the dogs. You don't even have to hold the dog's collar. You can just kind of bear hug him, just give him a hug. And then call your dog, come just once while the helper releases the dog after you call. Now, before you call them, I want you to ramp up the energy. I want you to call their name. Mm-hmm. I want you to talk to them. I want you to use different tones of voices. I want you to show them that, oh my gosh, something exciting's about to happen. And then finally say their name, say come. And then at that point, you release the dog. Yep. So that during that whole process, the dog's like, I kind of want to go over there. I kind of want to go over there, but you're not letting the dog go over there. So they can't even initiate that. By them not being able to go over there, they'll want to go over there more. Mm-hmm. All right. And then reward heavily for that speed and enthusiasm upon the arrival of your dog. So when the dog gets there, throw a party again.
Yeah.
Make it even more exciting. Mm-hmm. Go out of your way to show your dog how fun and exciting it can be.
Yep.
All right. Last chance for questions. Anybody got one? I for sure have the volume up here. All right. If not, then we are going to close it out for tonight. So, thank you very much for tuning in. This was episode 14 of Paw Print Academy, the recall and why it fails. So, if you've got something to say and you know how we can do this better, please leave us a like, leave us a comment, leave us a review, reach out to us. You can reach out to us, email, via phone, go to our website. All of those things are posted on every podcast platform that I know of. So, thank you for tuning in. Thank you for being here. Thank you to Sierra from Summit Kennels for being here tonight. I can't think of anything else. You got anything?
Nope, that's all I got. Thanks,
all right.
guys.
Thanks, guys.
Good night.
Have a good night.